これが新作？またへんてこね。
Yeah, you could probably say that. Also, the fact that we're dealing with a lot of harassment right now. Also, what do you mean this is the new one? Oh, thank God they're okay, though. I can't help but be worried about him, okay? I noticed the freaking signs! Ugh. Momose smiled as she stared fixedly at the Girufroggy keychain Bon had just purchased.
でも可愛いじゃない？
そりゃ新作じゃねえよ。先週出たなんだっけ。
Bon glanced over at Yua as if pleading for help.
涙目ゲロカエルンです。
ああ、そうそう。それ。
The teary Girofroggy?
ごめんね、ひわちゃん。こんなむさ苦しいおじさんに付き合わされて大変だったでしょう。
I wouldn't really say he's unpleasant.
いえ。
ひでえな、ももちゃん。こんなダンディーな中年はなかなかいねえぜ。
I just realized who he kind of reminds me of now. Okay, so I've already told this to a couple of people. YouTube's been recommending me a bunch of clips of Columbo recently, and now I'm just kind of seeing Bon as like Japanese Columbo. And I mean that in a complimentary way, like a guy that pretends to be a bumbling idiot but is actually pretty fucking good at what he does. Oh god, I can't unsee it. With Bon's half-joking protest falling on deaf ears, the president of Frisia served Yua some tea. Heaving a deep sigh, Bon sat down on the chair and glanced around the office. The employees of Frisia, who worked well into the night, had actually returned home on time today. Each worker's schedule was arranged to tell this exact tale on the whiteboard. Thanks to their departures, despite the sun having only just set, the office was completely silent, as if it were the dead of night.
で、ももちゃん、進行のこと調べてくれたかい?
Well, that's right. We got something called Faithworks. Before riding the train from Shinjuku, Bon had called Momose in advance and asked her to look into Faithworks.
その前に。
Smile still on her face, Momose glanced over at Yua, who was sipping from her teacup.
ゆあちゃん、お茶を飲んだら帰った方がいいわ。日も暮れたし、ご両親が心配するでしょ。
I don't think she should be around by herself, though. Just gonna say that right now, I really don't think she should be by herself. Right now. She was seen with Bon while he was being harassed. So... Yua realized what the intent behind Momose's words were. Whatever the conversation that would soon take place was, it was not meant for Yua's ears.
私のこと心配してくれているんですか?
I am.
そうよ。
Momose nodded with a serious look on her face. Although thankful for her consideration, Yua shook her head definitively in response.
私、帰りません。みやちゃんの死の真相に近づくためなら、何だってするつもりです。
あなたはこれ以上関わるべきじゃないわ。
She's a little too involved right now, so,
私もとっくに当事者の一人です。
I just realized what's going on right here is basically the same thing as, you're not involved in this. I'm feeling pretty involved. An imposing, unwavering resolve dwelt within Yua's words. Momose was perplexed at the unexpected opposition.
意外と頑固ね。
ま、ここでのけ者にするのも酷ってもんだろ。
Yeah.
いざとなったら警察で保護するさ。
But would she be safe? Momose was forced to sigh in response to Bon's nonchalant attitude.
バンちゃんにそんな権力があるのかしらね。
ま、こう見えても一応天下の警視庁捜査一課所属だからな。
At least until they decide to get rid of you.
あらそう。
Upon pacifying Bond to a suitable degree, Momose stared intently at Yua.
これから聞くことは絶対に口外しちゃダメよ。これはあなたの命にも関わることだから、それを肝に銘じてね。
はい。
Yua nodded, her expression far stiffer than before. All right. Upon seeing that, Momose sighed once more, then proceeded to take a seat. Momose, hunching her already rotund body forward, was that necessary? Operated the mouse connected to her laptop. That was kind of rude to refer to her as that.
進行から何が出たんだい？
Faith works.
バンちゃんの予感的中って感じね。
He was right. Both Bon and Yua appeared at the monitor from behind Momose.
有
Nozomi
限会
Technology
社
Group.
新興の親会社はのぞみテクノロジーよ。
Let's see what we got here. She will be hosting a general European medical exhibition. Cumulative financial results of quarter one of the fiscal year. Our efforts to bolster the medical instrument development industry regarding human resources. Uh-huh.
のぞみテクノロジー？
のぞみグループか。こいつは驚きだな。
新興は5年前にのぞみグループに吸収合併されたんだけど、それ以降発売した商品が次々と大ヒットしてるのよ。
Wow. Okay. Hey, it's me, Giro. Specials, Giro Froggy, Fatty Giro Froggy, Rugged Giro Froggy, Smooth Giro Froggy, Shining Giro Froggy, Cat Giro Froggy, LTDED Giro Froggies. Oh, limited edition. Spooky Giro Froggy, Sleepy Giro Froggy, Burning Zombie Drunk Godling. Uh-huh. Click here for more about our accessories, plushies, and all other bargains. Click here for more about our merchandising and dirt cheap sales. We're exploding with froggies. Check out all the latest sales and snatch them all up. Spend 5,000 yen for free shipping. Giru Froggy. Is there anyone out there that doesn't know about this incredibly popular, ugly, cute character? We are selling merchandise for them. The Giru Froggies we pay special attention that makes sure their unique expressions comes to life in our merchandise. Join the craze and get yourself a Giru Froggy today. Nah, I'm good.
ゲロカイルンだけじゃないの。中国製バッグとかタイ製のエコバッグとか美脚パンツとかで、この会社は商品の売り出し方が独特なの。いつも週末に新製品を一斉に投入するのよ。
It needs to be at the right time. Because weekends is where a large amount of people already are off, which means there's a higher possibility that a bunch of people will come in. Weekends. That word stuck out especially to Bon.
G レートとの関係は？
That and the GE rate.
必然にしろ偶然にしろ、新興の商品がヒットしているのは G レートの変動の影響ね。それは確かよ。前に見せた G レートのグラフ覚えてる？
It's been a while, but I vaguely recall what that graph was.
5年ぐらい前からずっと毎週末に値が上がってるって言ったわよね。新興がのぞみグループに合併された時期とぴったり一致するわ。
Okay.
進行がレートを操作してると思うか？
Well, with a title like Faithworks, usually that entitles some level of a religious symbolism, but I sincerely doubt that is the case, as we've already seen, the insanity of the evil higher-ups. Although, now that I think about it, they do refer to it as the Noah Project. So,
新興自体はそんなに大きな会社じゃないから、それは無理よ。
となると親会社。
Nozomi.
のぞみが怪しいな。 グループ総出で取り組めばレート操作だってできそうじゃねえか。
待って、のぞみの方はもちろんだけど、進行が興味深いのはそこだけじゃないの。
Okay, what else is strange about Faithworks?
設立当初の資料にまで遡ってみたら、すごい大物が出てきたのよ。
A real big shot, huh? Who?
大物？
Politician? Government agent?
井ノ花構造。
Inohana Kozo? Kozo?
はっは明和党の重鎮じゃねえの。
Ah, the leader of the Meiwa party.
新興設立当時はまだ民自党在籍時代だけどね。
つながってきたな。太田教授の時、それとこの前の地震の時、明和党は G レートに関係ありそうな件について報道規制の圧力をかけてきてる。
G レートのグラフのことだけど、いろいろ調べてたら他にも面白いパターンを見つけたわ。
What'd you find? As of now, there were two aspects about the GE rates that Bamose had her attention on. First, the fact that they consistently rose each and every weekend. The maximum values themselves were not particularly notable, but aside from New Year's, Golden Week, and the Bond Festival, they always went up without fail. And second, the drastic rise following earthquakes. For both the quake 2 months ago, in which there were 8 fatalities, and the quake 1 week ago, in which there were more than 100 fatalities, the GE rate had shown an extreme upsurge for a short period of time.
で、3つ目のパターン。この5年で4回だけ起きてるわ。時期はどれもまちまち。上昇値は地震の時ほどじゃないけど、結構高いの。最初はこれが何を意味してるのかわからなかったんだけど、調べていくうちにこの5年で4回と符合するイベントに行き着いた。
イベント。
もったいぶらずに教えろよ。
I do like having this other party that's kind of looking into all the suspicious stuff that's been happening and trying to piece things together in their own way. Like, as far as we know, these three... The only experience Bond has really seen with a Gigalomaniac was that footage of Senna. And, well, really wasn't much else, really, in terms of what their experience was. So, to see them kind of try to figure out the answers on their own by investigating other suspicious stuff is actually... I like watching it. I like it.
選挙よ。衆参合わせて4度行われた選挙日と、その4回の GE レート上昇の日は完全に同じだったわ。
So even they timed the elections? Like what? That's... wait. Huh. Bond stroked his unshaven chin with a stern look on his face.
野党だった明和党が大躍進を遂げて与党になった選挙は
4年前ですね。
そして井ノ花構造が民自党を電撃的に離党して明和党に移ったのは5年前。
A heavy silence hung in the air around the three of them.
なんだか私、お話を聞いていたら怖くなってきました。
Exceptionally frightening. Yua's voice trembled slightly as she murmured.
私もびっくりだわ。ここまでキーワードがぴったり当てはまるなんてね。
まだ状況証拠でしかないがな。
And Bond kind of trying to like level things down. Just because they all line up perfectly, you gotta remind that yourselves it's still kind of circumstantial. You need concrete proof.
それでも G レートのことを知っていたからこそ気づけたわけだ。知らなかったらさっぱりだったろ。
Yep, As he said that, Bond nonchalantly retrieved his favorite handheld fan and began waving it at himself.
ところで、俺が調べた女子高生の生態について話していいかい？
You mean Senna? Momose, bewildered by Bond's sudden change of topic, stared daggers at the detective.
ねいきなりそんなくだらないこと言い出すんじゃないわよ。ユアちゃんがいるんだから少しは考えなさい。
ねえ、そういうなって。
God, I can't unsee Japanese Columbo now. A slight smirk colored Bond's face, but his eyes did not match such a sentiment.
青いセナについてだ。
Here we go.
正しくは畑のセナと言うべきか。なぜ
Hatano?
か最近になって母親の旧姓を使い始めたんだよな。
Oh, her real name is Hatano Senna, and wait, Aoi is her mother's maiden name. Huh.
その畑野セナの父親、畑野一世は今失踪して行方不明らしいんだが、のぞみテクノロジーの元社員なんだよ。
Okay, I have to remember, like, they go by, I'm guessing from the way they're going by, like, last name, first name. I am very, very dumb. My dumb American brain automatically goes, oh, first name, last name, whenever it's the opposite. I am very fucking stupid.
どういうこと？
どういうことも何も、そのまんまさ。
Nozomi Technology was a company that primarily developed software for use in medical equipment. The Nozomi Group had begun with Nozomi Technology, but through repeated mergers and acquisitions, it had become one of Japan's top leading conglomerates.
半年前、畑野セナの母親と生後1年の妹が謎の死を遂げている。父親の失踪はその直後だ。
Okay, so now we're getting more of an actual timetable here. Okay. Hatano Senna's it's now it's gonna be really weird. I mean, okay, Hatano. Yeah, okay, Hatano Senna. Okay. Although, I guess it's better to refer to her as Aoi Senna because, well, obviously she would take her mother's name over her bastard of a father's name.
畑野セナ本人もそれと前後して当時預けられていたとある施設を脱走するって騒ぎを起こした。
施設ですか？
天神寮っていう非営利の自立更生支援施設だ。表向きはな。
Tenjin Dorm. Non-profit rehabilitation. Yeah, non-profit.
表向きってじゃあ裏があるの？
スポンサーがいるのさ。これが転生振興会だったりする。
Yeah, because that's always suspicious. Whenever you have a sponsor that is either a high-ranking, questionable politician or something like that, or you get a name like the... Oh, so who are we being sponsored by? The Cosmic Church of the Divine Light. Sir, that doesn't actually sound very... It's not a cult! I wasn't even going to suggest that, but now you kind of got me, you kind of got me worried about that. You're fired. Well, sir, I don't even work here!
転生振興会。
That was an accident. Momose grimaced at those words. She then spoke once more, her tone now clearly exasperated.
また面倒な名前が出てきたわね。
They're aware of it.
ちなみにその天神寮は2年前まで別の名前だった。
Tenjin Dorm was under a different name? What was it?
アークハートメディカル会。
Arc. Oh my god, it's not even trying to be on the nose. It's not even being subtle. Holy crap. Okay.
どんな偶然か今や渋谷の若者のカリスマ的存在であるフェス。 岸本綾瀬もここに入れられていたんだな。
Oh, and let me guess. What were they being additionally financed by? Who was taking care of all the money? Who was counting all the money and taking care of all the checks? Oh, well, that would be Noah Pharmaceuticals. And then what is that? Oh, they got boosted by some sort of hedge fund called Moses Financial. Anyway,
畑野瀬名とは入れ違いだったみてえだな。
Bon then leaned forward toward Momose and Yua.
でだ、ここからが興味深いんだな。アークハートメディカル界は天神寮と違ってメンタルケア施設だった。精神病患者を治療してたんだ。
Quote unquote treated.
ところが2年前、アークハートメディカル界は突然非営利団体の自立更生支援施設天神寮へと姿を変えた。それによって精神科医が一斉に解雇されたんだが、その医師たちを丸ごと雇い入れたのが代々木にある AH 東京総合病院だった。
ノータリン事件で殺された人が勤めていたのってそこの病院でしたよね。
God, it still feels unfortunate to refer to the case as numbskull.
ああ、高階文夫。確かに AH 東京総合病院の精神科医だ。ついでに言うと、そこの病院長は井ノ原の本意らしいぜ。
また井ノ原議員ね。
ゆあちゃん、君が追ってた西條匠も実は AH 東京総合病院をこの1ヶ月で3回訪れてる。
3 times.
そうなんですか。
警察がずっと尾行してたんだね。確かだ。しかも西條には数年前にその病院に入院した記録まであった。彼の主治医は高階文夫だ。不思議なのは西条の入院記録なんだよな。彼は10歳で入院して約2年後にその記録が途切れてるんだが。
He got in at 10 years old, and a few years later, about 2 years ago, the record stopped. Huh.
退院した記録はなかった。
No record of him being discharged. Jeez.
誰かが改ざんしたのかしら。
どうだかな。そこまでは調べが回らなくてね。
Can't really investigate that hospital if if Takumi's I'm sorry. Shit, what should I even refer to them as? The OG Takumi's room is like hidden behind a black wall.
なあ、それと畑野瀬名に関してもう一つ。最近彼女がよく行動を共にしている折原梢って生徒がいる。1ヶ月ほど前に転校してきた西条のクラスメートなんだが。
Kozupi, the very concerning classmate.
この子も結構な曰くつきなんだ。折原の父親がのぞみグループの系列会社社員なわけよ。
Really?
元は広島の方に住んでてな。折原梢の同級生3人が何者かに襲われて重傷を負うって事件が起きてる。
Attacked by some unknown person.
3人ともが右腕を鋭利な刃物で切断されて、ひどいありさまだったらしい。
Wait a minute. Their right arms? Oh my god. Huh. Okay. I finally figured it out. This novel is for left-handed people. It's finally rising to get back at all the right-handed people! Disclaimer, if anybody that is watching or listening to this has right hands, you are totally fine.
折原もその場に居合わせていた。彼女が犯人じゃねえかって疑いがかかったんだが、凶器が存在しないって理由で逮捕はされてない。
On the grounds that the weapon used to commit the crime didn't exist.
それで地元に居づらくなって引っ越したって噂もある。
凶器が存在しない？見つからないじゃなくて？
No, the weapon definitely didn't. It's a Schrodinger's weapon.
ああ、存在しないだ。何で切られたのかさえ分かってない。犯行は折原以外には実行できない状況だった。だが、たとえ折原が犯人だとしても、凶器をどこからか取り出すことも、どこかに隠すことも不可能だった。かまいたち現象じゃないかなんて本気で議論されたぐらいだ。
The Kamaitachi phenomenon.
何もないところから剣を取り出す手品。
かもしれねえな。
君が悪いです。
Because it is. It is. It really is. Yua, as if trying to stop herself from trembling, hunched down toward her knees, then began to stroke both of her arms with her hands.
何かとても大きな意志が働いているような。
職業柄俺は陰謀論なんざ信じちゃいねえんだが、今回ばかりはその存在を信じそうになるね。明和とそしてのぞみグループ、G レートに関係してると思われるのはその2つか。
天聖振興会も叩けば埃が出てきそうね。もともとあまりいい噂は聞かないし。
Not gonna lie, I'd totally read a novel if the star was Bon. Sipping some of her tea, Momose shrugged her shoulders.
バンちゃんには呆れるわ。本来の仕事をほったらかしにしてこんなことを調べてたなんて。
元はといえばももちゃんが G レートのことを教えてくれたのがいけないんだぜ。
そうだけど、それで捜査本部から外されちゃったら世話ないわ。
There's a high chance he might actually get booted from the investigation, but knowing how Bon works, he's probably gonna keep going.
本当に不器用なんだから、あんたって人は。
Those words were neither those of astonishment nor of condemnation, but rather a fairly roundabout way of praising him. Momose, despite her words, acknowledged Bon and his pursuits. Oh.
おっと電話だ。
Is it from Suwa? Bon's cell phone let out an electronic tune. Looking at the display, he saw that the caller was a restricted number. Wait, what?
もしもし。
Loud static could be heard from the other end of the call. Bon took the phone away from his ear and looked at the display once more. His connection was good, so he was likely not the issue. It must have been the caller causing the problem. Bon brought his ear close to the phone, believing that the call was coming from someplace far away.
おい、誰だ？
Back off. This was one of the anonymous, threatening phone calls he had been receiving recently. The mechanical sounding voice was likely due to the use of a voice changer. Bon let out an audible laugh before proceeding to answer.
あんたか。いい加減名乗ってくんねえかな。
He just taking it in stride like, this ain't my first rodeo. I've dealt with calls like yours. So, how you doing? What's your favorite dinner?
手を引けって言われてもな。そもそも何から手を引きゃいいんだ？ そこを具体的に言ってもらわねえと。
They always hung up there, always after saying back off twice. The pattern repeated itself so often it was practically routine. No matter how much Bond tried to speak to them, there was never an answer. But on this day, that would finally change. Ooh!
ああ、
Sua?
誰だ？
Upon hearing that, Bond finally understood whose distressed voice it was on the other end of the call.
諏訪か？
Oh, shit.
誰にやられた？今どこにいる？
A black ski mask.
相手は一人なんだな。おい、大丈夫なのか？
A.H. Tokyo. Oh! Oh!
諏訪、おい、諏訪。
No matter how much Bond called out to him, there was no response from the other end of the call. Okay. With a click of his tongue, Bond hung up. Momose and Yua were looking at Bond with intense concern.
スワちゃんに何かあったの？
Bond stood up, then lightly slapped his cheeks twice.
諏訪が人質に取られた。どうやら AH 東京総合病院にいるみてえだ。
He was able to give him at least one little bit of information.
まさか名和と？
ああ、わかんねえな。このままじゃまずい気がする。
You have a gun, right? Oh, wait a minute. Japanese gun laws. I don't know what... Fuck, I may have to actually... Okay, you know what? This actually kind of... You know what? Screw this. I actually have to know. I am really curious about this. Okay, so aside from Japan having vastly better gun laws, I did notice that apparently some police officers do have guns, but they do have them, like, holstered and, like... I admit, I kind of skimmed around on a couple of websites looking up this stuff, so potentially Bond has a gun. All I know is, God, don't kill him, please.
応援を頼んだ方がいいわ。
大ごとにしたらそれこそ諏訪の命はねえよ。俺一人で様子を見てくる。
I really don't want you to go alone, man. Bond placed his favorite handheld fan on top of the table, close to where Momose's hands rested. Following this, he took a good long look at each of the girls. That's a death flag. He put down his favorite fan. That's a death flag. His demeanor was like that of an entirely different person's. That unreliable middle-aged detective that he had so often played was nowhere to be seen. All there was now was an intense, fearless expression on his face.
ももちゃんとゆあちゃんもどこかに身を隠せ。わかったな。
No! 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 I don't care about Takumi. I care about I care about Sua and Bond, man. Through no will of my own, my legs moved in the direction of my base. They were heavy. So heavy, in fact, I wondered if my heels were packed with lead. Except it wasn't just my legs. My entire body felt heavy. But despite how hard it was to move, I kept telling myself that it was proof that my body existed. That I wasn't a delusionary existence. The sun had already set, meaning there was no one in the city to pay any attention to me as I staggered through the streets. Before now, I would push everyone away, telling them not to look at me. I was scared of getting too much attention, of being a laughingstock. But even though I'd done that for so long, right now I just wanted someone, anyone to look at me. I wanted someone to see me with their eyes. I wanted someone to acknowledge that I was here. That was the Deus Ex Machina I needed. But no one did. If I randomly yelled out something, I'd probably get looks of disdain, but I didn't have the willpower to go through with that. Within my sweaty hand was my cell phone, the one I'd gone out to buy with Nanami. I only had 4 numbers registered on it. Rimi's cell phone, Nanami's cell phone, Misumi-kun's cell phone, and the number from my parents' house. I tried desperately to think of a way to prove I wasn't fake with just those 4 phone numbers.
あなたは妄想の存在なんだよ。
No. I wasn't a delusionary existence. I was real. I was Nishijo Takumi. I was 17 years old. I was a second year at Sume Academy. I was in a family of 4. I was...
助けて僕を証明して
My teeth were chattering. A clearly audible clacking sound. I wasn't cold whatsoever. And yet, I trembled all the same.
助けてよ
From the 4 numbers I had, I chose Misumi-kun's.
Huh. ミス
ダークだろ。どうしたんだ。リミとうまいこと言ったか。ちゃんと童貞卒業できたんだろうな。
Misumi.
感謝しろよ。気を使って2人にしてやったんだからよ。
Misumi, I'm having a mental breakdown. Misumi-kun was the same as ever. That at least brought me some relief. He did know me. He recognized me as Nishijo Takumi. So I wasn't a delusionary existence. Rimi had just been lying. I knew it.
そういえば、ついさっき美奈子から言われたんだけどよ。
Minako?
え美奈子
ああ、俺の女。
Oh, your girlfriend. Your current girlfriend.
で、美奈子が言うんだよ。ここ1ヶ月ぐらい、日常と急に仲良くなったけど、なんでって。
She was all, why have you suddenly been so buddy-buddy with Nishijo this past month? Huh?
こいつ何言ってんだって最初は思ったんだけど、そもそも俺、普通だったらお前みたいなやつとは絶対関わろうとしねえんだよな。リミを通して知り合ったってのはなんとなく記憶にあるんだけどよ、細かいことはなぜか思い出せねえんだよな。
Oh, no. Oh, God, is he starting to realize it, too? It was the same. It was the same situation I'd experienced earlier. Stop it. I don't want this. Don't say anything, please. You could have just talked about girls like you always do, so why today of all days did you have to?
お前さ、いつ俺とダチになったんだっけ。
I got too freaked out, so I instantly hung up. I felt like I was about to cry, yet no tears came. It simply felt like my heart was being torn to shreds. Next, I decided to try calling home. This line has been disconnected, I imagine. Despite how hard my fingers were trembling, I somehow managed to select the number and press the call button. Nanami had registered this one. I hadn't put it in myself, so there was no doubt the call would go through. Considering what time it was, would my dad be home? Had my mom left already? Was Nanami there? Even if it did connect, what would I even say? Hey, I'm your son, right? They'd probably think I was screwing with them, that I was being stupid, and in truth, it was a stupid question. What if they said no? What if they said, our son Takumi is eating dinner with his sister in the living room? What if the phone call that was supposed to prove I was real actually did the exact opposite? What if they asked, who are you? As the negative thoughts continued to swell up in my mind, I grew more and more afraid. I didn't want to know the outcome. I was really scared, and I couldn't control it. I felt like I was about to go insane. My breathing grew ragged. I could barely breathe anymore. Right then, the call connected. With the phone next to my ear, I prepared myself.
あなたがおかけになった電話番号は現在使われておりません。番号をご確認の上、もう一度おかけ直しください。
That's exactly what I was afraid of. No one would prove that I was me. There was no one that could. I wanted to die. Raising my head, I noticed Yamanote Dori in front of me, with lots of cars coming and going. No. You can't. We're not going to delude ourselves anymore. I'm sorry, Takumi. We're not doing anymore. Maybe it was for the best that I died. But there was no value in a fake being alive. I was worthless. Even if a monster did try and live in this world, they just end up being persecuted. I had neither hopes nor dreams. My existence itself was repulsive to people. I wanted to be freed from all this. If I died, I'd be free. After all, there'd be no more need to think. There'd be nothing more to suffer from. There'd be no one to laugh at me. There'd be no one to betray me. I wanted nothingness. I brought my heavy legs one step forward. In this place free of traffic lights, I staggered onto the road. I had a feeling that salvation awaited me there. A glaring brightness from a pair of headlights, the discordant noise of a car horn, the unnerving sound of squealing tires. Come on, kill me. Kill this fake me. This unsightly monster. Kill me. But no matter how long I waited, the impact never came. I opened my eyes. A car was stopped right in front of me. I was still standing on the road with on my own 2 feet. The driver got out and started shouting at me about something. He shoved me as he kept on screaming. Why? I broke down crying then and there.
どうして引き殺してくれないんだ
Why won't anyone save me? Why won't anyone release me? Was a fake not even worth killing? Oh, now on Rimi's perspective. Or, not really her perspective, but where she is. As Sakihata Rimi walked beneath the Shibuya Station underpass, she took out her cell phone. She had walked straight here right after parting ways with Takumi. She then selected the number registered in her address book as Nana-chan and placed a call. They picked up the very next moment.
私実はちょっとした報告があります。ナナちゃんをこれから助けに行こうと思って。
Time to go and save Nana-chan, huh? Rimi had no idea of where Nanami was being held, as well as who had abducted her. A theory she had only come to because she had been in a similar situation herself once before. What? Really? It was a past she wanted to forget, but it was one she was ready to confront in order to rescue Nanami, no matter how steeped in darkness those memories may be. The reaction of whom she had called was exactly as Rimi had predicted, leading her to inevitably start laughing.
私って信用されてないな。平気だってば。
Both her voice and expression were cheerful. Not an ounce of the grim resolve she carried could be felt. To an outside observer, it would simply look as if she was having a fun, engaging conversation.
昔の話だしね。そもそも私の感情とナナちゃんを助けることと どっちを優先させるかなんて決まりきってることだよ。
Oh.
言ったでしょ、私はあなたの力になりたいって。それにタクには関わらせたくないの。
As she said that, Rimi's expression clouded over.
ねえ、ちょっとだけ語っちゃっていいかな。
Oh?
タクにね、いろいろひどいこと言っちゃったんだ。しかもそんなことしておいてすごく自分勝手なんだけど、私彼と一緒に過ごした時間はとっても楽しかったって思っちゃってるんだ。
She really enjoyed spending time with him.
何もかもが妄想でまみれたまやかしでしかなかったのに、学生生活もあの学校に私やタクが通ってることも、大ちんと友達だっていうことも、私がタクと一緒にいようとしたことも、タクの存在そのものも。
Little by little, Rimi's pace slowed. Multiple strangers passed her by.
タクってどうしようもないくらい情けなくて、どうしようもないくらい弱くて、きっと普通の女だったら見向きもしないような男の子なんだよ。
As she spoke, she squeezed the hand she held the cell phone with.
なのに私の心には楽しかったっていう気持ちがあるの。なのに私の心にはもっと一緒にいたかったっていう気持ちがあるの。この気持ちって何なのかな。
Looking up, she saw the neon-lit night sky. No stars were in sight. For an ephemeral moment, Rimi stood beneath it. A slight smile rose to her face when she received a response.
さてと、そろそろ切るね。本当に大丈夫だって。あなたは何も心配しないで。私が全部決着をつけてくるから。
I swear, I think I've actually heard Rimi's voice actress before. Damn it, I need to... I'm pretty sure somebody told me who Rimi's voice actress was, but I swear to God, she sounds like somebody that I've heard of before. Actually, okay, so I knew I wasn't freaking losing my mind. That's the voice of Eri Kitamura. She voices Chester 410 from Umineko, and I think she also voices... Oh, yeah, she voices Ashido from My Hero Academia. I knew I recognized her voice! God, this is reminding me whenever I heard the voice of Gran Torino all over again. I think I'm getting better at picking out those voices now.
たくみ。
Fun little discoveries. Having lost all my willpower, before I realized that I found myself back in my base. I didn't know how I'd gotten here after failing to die at Yamanote Dori. My memory was hazy.
このコンテナって誰がどうやってここまで運んだんだろう。
It was something I'd never even thought about until now. But now that I was, I couldn't help but notice how odd it felt. The more I thought about it, the more the feeling encroached upon my mind. The moment I closed the door, the room went pitch black. Leaning against the door, I simply stood there, still as could be. Inside the quiet room, all that could be heard was the sound of my shallow breathing and the hum of the fan inside my PC. I thought that maybe surrounding myself in darkness would make things easier, since I wouldn't have to be conscious of my pitiful self. I almost combined conscious and pitiful for a minute there. But it had the exact opposite effect. Unable to see anything and with nothing else to listen to, Rimi's cruel words from before repeated endlessly in my mind.
あなたは妄想の存在なんだよ。
I think that truth alone is probably the most catastrophic amount of damage you could have inflicted to Takumi at this point. My own moans disgusted me more than ever before. I even felt nauseous. I was already a disgusting freak even before all of this, but if my very existence itself was warped, I was already beyond saving. I wanted to disappear completely. As I tripped over the trash scattered across the floor, I stumbled my way to the end of the room. I turned the lights on, scaring away the dark. I then grabbed the Seraton figure, post-awakening version, that just so happened to enter my line of sight and sat down in my chair. I brought her close to my chest. She was really small, and she was really hard too. She didn't breathe, nor did she speak. She didn't have the warmth that the 3D girl had. I might be cruel doing this, but no. Despite that, she was all I had left. Rimi had left me. I didn't know where Nanami was. Senna had attacked me. Kozupi hadn't protected me. Yua was my enemy, and Ayase was hospitalized. These were the only girls I knew the names of, and none of them would do anything for me. Reality was harsh. It didn't give a damn about a monster like me. With my trembling hands, I tightened my grip on Seidertan, then tighter, then tighter. Tight enough to break her. I wanted to disappear completely. If that was how I thought, shouldn't I just act? Ultimately, I was just playing the tragic protagonist right now. Even if I was overcome with sorrow, no one was going to empathize with me. Nobody was looking at me. Nobody was here for me. They had all abandoned me. No. I didn't have any real bonds. There was no one in my life I could count as a friend. I didn't even have a family. I was a fake, after all.
オタクばっかり並べてる。
Shut up and die already. Setting down Seidertan, I sluggishly got up from my chair and found a plastic cord lying under my bed. Okay, maybe I should have let him have a delusion at this point. Jesus Christ. I picked it up, made a ring big enough for my head to fit in, and tied the other end to a pipe of the loft bed. I don't like this. I really don't.
死んでやる、死んでやるよ、死んでやるんだからな。
Do I need to put a trigger warning at the beginning of this episode? There was no one here to stop me. But of course there wasn't. I was the only one in this room. I managed to secure the plastic cord quite well. Dying is surprisingly easy, I thought to myself. I put my head inside the ring and tightened it around my neck. Normally, you couldn't hang yourself just from a loft bed. It wasn't high enough. But if I kicked my legs out from under me, then height wasn't an issue. What I needed was the resolve to die. Now at the end, I looked over at Seidertan, who smiled at me from atop my desk. Starting with Seidertan, my waifus lined up on the shelves would be the ones that would see me to the other side. I was struck by sorrow. Loneliness filled my heart. I felt a twinge in my nose.
さよなら。
Placing all of my weight on the cord, I kicked my legs out. The cord started strangling me. It was putting immense pressure on my neck. It dug into my flesh hard. It hurts. Before I knew it, I was unconsciously trying to relieve the pressure with my fingers. I moved my legs back into place and went to stand up. But if I did that, I wouldn't be able to die. If I didn't keep all of my weight on the cord, I wouldn't be strangled. So I endured it. Yeah, I think this requires a bit of a warning. My throat hurt. Rather than being unable to breathe, the pain of it digging into my neck was the worst part. Hurry up. Hurry up and die already. The suffering continued. It was so immense I couldn't even pass out. My body swayed aimlessly. Around and around it swayed, my legs kicking up and down. The pipe on my loft bed started creaking. And suddenly my body lost all support. And I violently crashed to the floor, landing flat on my ass. The impact I felt in the bones of my pelvis made me writhe in pain. And at the same time, I was desperately sucking in air. As tears welled up in my eyes, I looked up at the cord that had been tied to my bed, only to find that it had snapped in two at the center.
なんだよそれ。なんだよそれは。
Of all times for me to fail, why at the very end when it mattered most? I knew I was beyond saving. A good-for-nothing loser that hadn't managed to accomplish even a single noteworthy thing in his entire life. Not that I was a person to begin with. But to fail even when trying to die, it was just too much. Why couldn't I die? Even though I wanted to die. Even though I wanted to die. Now that I knew how painful it was to be hanged, I would never have the will nor the courage to attempt it again.
楽に死ぬ方法を誰か教えてよ。
This is fucked up, man. Seeing my shameless tendency to rely on others rear its head once more, I was hit with a wave of nausea. I really was completely and entirely useless. Jesus Christ, man. Oh, shit. Yeah, we go from that to this. That's... Ugh. Human presence quickly faded from the hospital, cloaked in night. Perhaps, after taking in all the life and death during the day, it took this time to regain balance. At this time, the hospital housed neither the scent of life nor the scent of death. Only a quiet emptiness reigned. Oh, the hospital housed neither the scent of life. I'm stupid. Ban Yasuji chuckled to himself as he realized the odd nature of his thoughts. Despite the minor self-flagellation, it did indeed feel especially quiet tonight. It was not yet time for the lights to be on, leaving the corridor steeped in darkness. There was not even a single sign of any nurses. Immediately after stepping foot into the lobby, Ban was hit with a very bad feeling. There was no logical reasoning behind it. It was simply what one might call a detective's gut. My gut is usually right for the most part. Actually, wait, should I be going for a Columbo? My gut is usually right in this time. Meh. In his mind, he believed it to be an oddly superstitious thought. But this may have simply been a way to dismiss the feeling. Nah, I'm not going to do that for very long. It'll fuck up my throat. While the taxi had driven him to the hospital, Bon had attempted to call Sua's phone numerous times. But each and every one of them had failed, which only served to demonstrate his junior's precarious situation all the more clearly. There was no time to waste. He had to find the place where Sua was being held within the large hospital and rescue him. All while not being detected by the kidnapper. The linoleum floor would have made his footsteps echo. To avoid this, Bond took off his shoes before entering the lobby. Smart. Winter was swiftly approaching at this time of the year. A fact Bond was readily made aware of when the chill from the floor sent shivers up his soles. The sound of the automatic front door echoed throughout the room, followed by the voice of a girl calling out Bond's name. Well, there goes element of surprise. Yua! The surprise of seeing her in the lobby put Bond at a loss for words. He hurried toward her in a panic. Beyond her glasses, her eyes threw anxious glances at her surroundings.
おい、なんでついてきたんだ。身を隠せって言っただろうね。
すみません。でも、私。
It is not safe for you to be here, Yua. Bond looked for any signs of Momose, but she was nowhere to be seen. Realizing she had come alone, Bond scratched the top of his head with a concerned expression.
今すぐ戻れ。これは遊びじゃねえんだぞ。
それは分かっているつもりです。
分かってるなら帰るんだ。
Oh. Right as he spoke, a creaking sound came from the hallway across the lobby. In the very center of this empty, dark hallway, slowly, an empty wheelchair made its way toward Bond and Yua. Then, at nearly the exact same time, someone could be heard running up the stairs.
とにかくユアちゃんは帰れ。いいな。
Before he had even finished giving his warning, Bond had already started running. He followed the footsteps up the stairs without waiting for Yua's answer. Given his typically languid demeanor, the speed at which Bond moved was like nothing anyone could have ever imagined. Honestly, now that I did that little cursory search about like Japanese gun laws and detectives and shit like that, apparently the police officers in Japan are like given like some pretty good training with hand-to-hand combat, which is is fascinating. As he followed the footsteps, Bond found himself on the roof of the outpatient ward. There were lines of shrubbery installed on the rooftop, forming a garden of sorts. It was most likely a space of healing for the patients there, but regrettably, as the lights were off, Bond could not see what kind of flowers were blooming there. Given the fact Bond was on the roof, it was only natural that the wind would blow strong. With ragged breaths, Bond quickly surveyed his surroundings. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is where the man behind the footsteps must have run, but for now, he was nowhere to be seen. Was I led here on purpose? The man had fled while causing sounds that had seemed purposeful. Bond could not think of any other reason for him to have done that aside from leading him here. The Bond did not have his gun on him. Okay, so he does have a gun. Okay. As he was apprehensive about being unarmed, he looked for something that could serve as a weapon, but to no avail. With a gulp, he wiped away the sweat on his forehead with his fingers. Step by step, he made his way to the center of the garden. Here and there, Bond could see a few hiding spots tucked within the shadow of the benches and shrubbery. He put himself into a fully alert state, one in which he could respond to a potential attacker no matter the direction they came from. The garden was set up in a circular fashion, with benches placed around it in accordance with its shape. Bond strained his eyes as he looked at each bench in order, and on one of those benches, his eyes landed upon a strange object. Keeping a close look on his surroundings, he slowly approached the bench, and as he got closer to it, its shape was made clearer to him. Darth Spider-Man. The fucking Darth Spider-Mask! It was around the size of a soccer ball, round and dark. It was a severed human head. Bond, who had investigated countless murder cases involving dismembered in the past, quickly recalled an image of a photo he had once seen. The bad feeling in his chest grew stronger and stronger. Recognizing the possibility of it being his junior's head, vengeful anger and furious rage toward the perpetrator bubbled up from within. Bond gritted his teeth and drew even closer to the bench. The object did not move a single inch. The wind of the night continued to blow. See, I know it's a Darth Spider mask now. Then, Bond heard a gunshot. He froze in response to the sudden sound. Normally, the detective would duck and investigate the direction the sound had come from, but he was unable to do even that. No. In actuality, there was no need for him to do that anymore. Feeling a burning heat in his chest, Bond touched it with his hand. A slippery sensation. Something was flowing out from his body, accompanied by the very particular smell of blood. Only a short moment following the gunshot did Bond's mind begin to register pain within him. He had been shot. The moment he realized this, all strength left his legs. Fuck! Unable to remain standing, he collapsed to the ground. Sua? The footsteps from earlier were approaching him. As his vision grew blurry, he desperately looked up at the person drawing near. A dark shadow with a gun in its hand. A shadow so dark, Bond could not recognize its face. A voice came.
手を引けって言ったのに。
A voice he recognized.
残念っすよ、先輩。
Bond, collapsed in a heap, was met with the ridicule of one man. Sua Mamoru.
スワがお前が俺を
そうっす。いやー、祝初発砲ってところっすか？
As he laughed into the night, Sua casually picked up the object from the bench.
ちなみに先輩、やけにこれに注目してたっすけど、そんなに珍しかったんすか？
I hate you.
ダーススパイダーのヘルメット。
I hate you so fucking much right now. Sua, who had now returned to Bond, held the dark helmet in front of the detective's face in an ostentatious manner. Fuck, I hate you! As Bond laughed, his vision grew blurrier and blurrier. Both his arms and legs felt extremely cold. His chest hurt, but not just from the physical pain. He also felt an intense gaze upon him, but he had no more strength to conclude whether it was Sua or someone else's. Knowing that his life would last only a few more minutes, Bond forced his growingly heavy body to face upward. With arms and legs outstretched, only the night sky lay above him. A sky overcast with no stars to be seen. But even if there were any left in the sky, Bond had long since lost the ability to see them. After a few coughs, the taste of blood sped through his mouth.
そうお前はバカだまだガキでどうしようもないくらいのバカなデカだだが俺はお前のこと結構買ってた
自分は先輩が鬱陶しくてしょうがなかったっすよ。
You are giving us way too much trouble. Oh my...
まあ気持ちはわかる
Bond's breathing grew increasingly shallow. Only a faint wheezing sound could be heard leaking from his throat. Before long, he would be unable to perceive anything anymore.
何者なんだお前。
I don't even think that's his real name. God. Fuck! With his consciousness fading in and out, Bond spoke one final question. And in response, Sue pointed at the muzzle at Bond, then gave his reply.
魔法使いっす。
バカが。
Before either of them could realize that the wind had stopped blowing, the darkness had quickly turned to a place of serenity, and within it 2 figures remained frozen still. But that too remained only for an ephemeral moment. Sue's finger, now curled around the trigger, slowly moved inward.
先輩に信仰の救いあれ。
I'm not in the mood to record right now. I ran out of save spots.